Hey guys. What would you tell your younger self if you had a chance? I know what I tell my younger self, but before I tell you that, let me give you some context. I was born in the mid-70s. I know I don't look it, but I was. It was in the UK. My parents were hardworking, working-class Nigerian immigrant parents. And anyone who has Nigerian parents will know they wanted me to be a doctor, an accountant, an architect, or some other upstanding profession. Unfortunately for them, I found my passion, and it was for computers and entrepreneurship. Now, I was building neural networks in secondary school. In university, I studied, of course, computer science. This was also the mid-90s, so I saw the dawn of the World Wide Web. And I was fortunate enough to work on early sites for the BBC, ITV, News International, and the more. And then it came time to graduate. And instead of following my passion, I balked. I felt fear. I came from a very poor background. I had no safety nets. So I decided to do the safe thing. I became a computer engineer. Now, don't get me wrong. This went really well. I went from computer engineer to chief application architect, to head of technology, CTO, and more. But all the while, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But the more success I had, the more I became imprisoned by my fear. And this continued for 15 years until one day, suddenly, inexplicably, my older brother suddenly died, passed away. Now, this was obviously very devastating for all our family. We still, actually today, don't know exactly why it occurred and how it happened. But it made me realize something. It made me realize that no matter how much you plan, you never know when life is going to change for you in an instant. So I decided to stop being imprisoned by my fear, and within a few months, I handed in my resignation and decided to continue my entrepreneurial journey. Now, luckily, all my fears were completely unfounded. It was super easy being an entrepreneur. Walk in the park, no issues. Actually, you know that's not the case. Every fear I had was 100% correct. Actually, it was 100 times worse. But a funny thing happened. Every time I would fall, I would just get back up, dust myself off, learn, get better. I'd fall, get back up, dust myself off, learn, get better, get stronger. And this continued until I started to figure this entrepreneur thing out, and I discovered Bitcoin, the world's first anti-fragile money, the world's first freedom money. And I set up the UK's first and longest running Bitcoin exchange, which I sold successfully a few years ago. And now I, with my co-founders, are running Fedi, one of the hottest startups in the Bitcoin space. Now, what is Fedi? Fedi makes a community super app that's chat, money, and more. But instead of being run by some centralized party where your privacy and your liberty could be at risk, we use Bitcoin and other freedom technologies plus on-the-ground expert support to enable communities to take control over their money, their data, and their communication so that they can ensure the privacy and liberty of their users, their members. And it's not just Fedi. We're part of a growing group of Bitcoin startups that instead of focusing on number go up or investing or making great returns, we're using Bitcoin and freedom technologies to help communities become more free. Another way to say it is that we use Bitcoin and freedom technologies to help communities become anti-fragile. Now, I keep using that word, and excuse me if you already know it, but what do I mean by anti-fragile? Well, we know what it means to be fragile. That's when you're attacked or you fall, you get weaker, you break. And we often think the opposite of that is to be strong or tough. But we'd be wrong, because that's when you're attacked or fall, you don't get weaker, you just stay the same. To be anti-fragile is to fall, get back up, dust yourself off, Learn, get stronger, get better. And this has never been more important for communities than it is right now. Because we know that if you give communities economic freedom, economic anti-fragility, there's a direct correlation to the level of political freedom, political anti-fragility, liberty that they can enjoy. And unfortunately, after a century of increasing levels of liberty and democracy in the world, we're seeing a worrying trend of the last 10 to 15 years where democracy is on the decline, autocracy is on a rise, and even, we were just talking about it now, even in democracies, we're seeing growing controls and constraints on the level of political and economic liberty that their citizens can expect. This is why, for example, at Fedi, we work with humanitarian NGOs to deliver low-cost and high-speed aid when other solutions that don't use Bitcoin wouldn't suffice. For example, we worked with Refunite in sub-Saharan Africa recently to deliver aid to over 16,000 refugees. Or another organization like Gridless, which is an innovative company that provides off-grid Bitcoin mining. So we use Bitcoin mining to accelerate the electrification of rural East Africa, where again, no other option would be viable. And again, with Fedi, where we work with human rights defenders in Latin America, in Africa, and Southeast Asia to provide secure remittance and private communication when other, more centralized offerings would fail them. And we will not stop until everyone on this planet is free, because until everyone is free, no one truly is. So, what would I tell my younger self if I had the chance? I'd tell my younger self to not be afraid to make mistakes and fall. Just get back up, dust yourself off, learn, get stronger, get better. I would tell my younger self to not wait 15 years. I would tell my younger self to be anti-fragile. Unfortunately, if you know your UK sci-fi, I'm not Doctor Who, and I don't have a time machine, so I can't tell my younger self that. But I can do something better. We can do something better. We can promote and support technologies, protocols, initiatives that raise communities up, help them learn, become stronger, become better. We cannot wait months, years, or decades, but act now. We can help Bitcoin and other freedom technologies make communities anti-fragile. Because if there's one idea, it's this. Like freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of association, anti-fragility is a human right that every person, every community, everywhere deserves. Thank you.